Patrick Cook is an Australian cartoonist who is known for his work on weekly news magazine The Bulletin. He was in Paris this week when the attacks happened, and he spoke to me earlier from Venice, and he began by describing how news of the shootings filtered through the capital.
When the news of the attack first broke, which would be the middle of the day on the Wednesday, we were with people who were bilingual, which I'm not, and they expressed to us very clearly, apart from their shock and disgust, that they knew precisely what it was about. It was an attack upon a freedom that they feel much more, perhaps overtly, than we do in Australia, an attack on the freedom of the press.
Patrick, does that mean that in some way the people that you were with expected that an attack like this may occur?
I think everybody in France has been expecting an attack of one sort or another, and Charlie Hebdo had been bombed already. They were believed to be they were under police protection, but it was quite clearly not enough. They had been attacked, of course, for reproducing the Danish cartoons. So it's not exactly the first example. But a direct attack on a newsroom, I believe, was not expected, no.
There's been a lot of talk about the irreverent wit and sharp minds of the editorial staff at the magazine. What did you make of their work?
Their work is it's a particularly French magazine. They're an avowedly, or the left wing, but they're an avowedly secular left wing, in a country where religion, Catholic religion especially, has always had great influence and power. But they are equal opportunity satirists. The front page of the issue I saw when I came to town was about the Virgin Mary. They had previously had one with Muhammad as the guest editor. They've dealt with Israel a good deal. They're simply against, organised religion of any description. Or they mock what they regard as absurdities in organised religion, yes.
You've been a cartoonist for decades. Why do you think the medium is so potent?
Because it's immediate, and I believe it's friendly. Well, personally, for my own sake, but for my own self, I've always found particular cartoonists to be friends, even if I've never met them. In the old days when we used paper, in fact, coming across them at an op-ed page, most readers, I believe, would turn to a cartoon first, then go to see what the rest of the people had to say.
Has the attack in the past week in Paris given you or any of your colleagues pause to reflect on the way that you carry out your jobs?
Well, there's the basic thing that is there a risk of being shot at? And I suppose there is. It depends what you do, but cartoons are not there for... Cartoons do not dwell on abuse. There has to be a point to them. I mean, the tweet that Charlie had put out immediately before the attack was one of al-Baghdadi, the head of the ISIS. It's not simply a matter of drawing Muhammad, which is considered to be wrong. It's anything to do that is critical in any way of their activities, which of course we won't stop. You have a look at the newspapers in Australia since then, and now, and around the world. You will see terrorists, you will see representations of what has happened. I think it'll make us, if I may be so bold, more determined.
Well, out of all of the cartoons we've seen in the aftermath, what has stood out for you in terms of the artistic response? Any specific cartoons that have really struck you?
Of course. I mean, online there have been hundreds. There was one that was attributed to Banksy, the pencil being broken and then morphing into another two pencils. I thought that was particularly potent. David Pope from the, I think, Canberra Times, his cartoon has been around the world, and rightly so. That was strong. There have been a great many. But basically, they have the one theme: we're winning. And we will win. We will gagne. There is still it is one thing to say that the pen is mightier than the sword, but it now looks as though the pen is going to require a sword also to defend it. And I think that is a great sadness.
You're continuing your travels through Europe now. Are the attacks in France being talked about in Italy?
We arrived in Venice this morning, and the first thing we saw catching the ferry was a large Je suis Charlie sign hanging from one of the bridges. Yes, everybody knows, everybody is aware of it.